So I think I'm a little bit more like my mom than my dad, but I'm a lot like both. I wrote this today. And I do work readers as well, but because I'm 50. I'm a man. We're readers. So I'm John Anderson, as Carolyn introduced us earlier, and I just have a few things to share, but this is hard. It's been hard to prepare for this. It's incredible, and it's a celebration, and these stories are absolutely amazing. I think we could be here all night. Not sure the staff would want us to, but I'm really enjoying this, and it's tough. They're two of my best friends, my mom and dad. Like, I had a unique relationship with both of them. Was able to spend a lot of time with them, especially the last few years, and it's hard knowing that I won't be able to do certain things I did with them, but the legacy they left and what they leave in us is now more noticeable than I noticed when they were alive. And I think that's part of what Mike said. It's part of what Steve said and Caroline said and Craig is they were great people. Like, they were amazing people. And they were an even more amazing couple. I'll share a couple stories that I think about when I think about my mom and dad. And so I sort of did this as a together thing. When we were in China Lake and they were in a bowling league, and like as unique as they both are in their separate ways together, like they were infinitely more amazing than the parts. The parts are terrific. Together, it was truly magical. But they were in a bowling league in China Lake. And Peggy Grosbeyer, we would go and they would bowl. Me and James Thompson, we'd go and all of us hang out. I don't even know what we did. We'd play tag, we'd play arcade games, they bowled. Which, that's cool. They're in a bowling league together. Husband and wife, right? Time together. And she said to me, Peggy Grosbeyer, she says, "Do you see your parents over there holding hands?" Because, I think my mom bowled fourth, my dad bowled fifth. Like, they were the anchors. They were damn good bowlers, by the way. Really good bowlers. My mom tied Craig in bowling. That's pretty incredible. Took 10 games to do it. But she pointed out to me, and I noticed that my parents were holding hands. Like, they were not shy about showing affection because they loved each other. And to some of the stories shared, that was a nice example that they gave to me that they probably never knew they gave to me. A few other things I want to share that just highlight this. So in 1988, we moved from Virginia Beach to Orlando. And so Caroline and Mike were off to college. Pete and I were still in school. I was going into 10th grade. Pete was going into 6th grade. And we moved to Orlando in July. So normally you move in the summer, school starts, we'll call it Labor Day, you start that day, right? So I go to mom and dad, I got an idea for you. We moved a lot. I was like, if we start the first day of school, nobody knows we're new, right? They just think that we just sort of melded into the school district. And I said, how about this? How about we start in October? So I got a career in sales. Maybe this helped me a little bit. I said, they're like, why? And they were incredibly compassionate in that moment. I said, well, and I explained to them why. And they go, okay, you can start in October. So Pete, you're welcome for that. The first class I walked into was Mrs. Douglas's drama class. Mrs. Douglas and her husband Tim are here. She was my teacher 35 years ago. That first class I walked into was Mrs. Douglas's class. And I was so confident because I was like, this is my plan, right? To my dad's, personality, I better go do this plan now, but do it with enthusiasm and joy, how my mom would do it, and just try to brighten the room up. And that class was impactful. So thank you, Mrs. Douglas, for that. It's cool, awesome you're here. My mom loved you. My dad loved you. But they were compassionate. That was 1988. A little earlier than that, we were in Virginia Beach. My dad was deployed for a few months on the Roosevelt. And my mom had this great idea. She goes, why don't you just skip school? This is my mom. I didn't like it. I didn't like Brandon Junior High School. So she's like, cool. And I was like, well, Mom, I can't skip every day. She's like, well, how many days can you miss? I said, I can miss 30 and still pass. So I missed 29 days that year. and we go to the beach quite a bit. My dad had an incredible amount of patience. A quick story behind that. Earlier in China Lake, I was in 4th grade and I was having this raging fit. He's driving me to school, dropped me off, and I just am having one of these kid fits, like screaming, crying, yelling. My shoes didn't feel right, my belt didn't feel right. It was raining. And he sat in the car while I was just thrashing around this van. And he just sat in the car. And he had to be to the Naval Air Station to do his job and serve the military. And he just sat there and waited and waited and waited. And he wasn't going to do anything. Finally, I stopped, and I'm like teared. It's fourth grade, like you're not little babies, or like 9, 10 years old. And he goes, just let the rain hit your face a little bit, and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay, like wow, amazing amount of patience, and then a great, prep to walk into that class and not feel like I would be crying all day long, and I didn't know why I was crying. But his patience was noticeable in that moment. So my favorite story, and I have one other thing to share, but my favorite story was my mom's 70th birthday. I had the honor to take them to New York City. And she loves the Jersey Boys. She loves Frankie Valli and Four Seasons. And I didn't know she'd ever been to a Broadway play before in her entire life. So we booked the Waldorf Astoria. I got a great deal on that. We went to this amazing dinner. My dad got an Uber. It was my first Uber ride. And I didn't know how it worked. My dad, of course, knew how it worked. We went to Jersey Boys, and it was the most incredible show and experience. Just me and my two parents. I'm in my 40s, they're in their 70s, and we just had a great time. But it didn't end with the show. The show ends at probably 11 o'clock at night. We walk across the street to a piano bar, and the place is hopping. It's New York City. It's, Broadway area, piano bar. Place is absolutely electric with young people, and me and my mom and dad. So they go to dance. They went to dance, and I went to get a drink. Before I know it, I look up on stage, and my mom and dad are on stage with the band, singing and dancing, and the whole place is going bonkers for those two. And I'm sitting at the bar watching this unfold, and I'm like, wow. And I had ordered 3 drinks, and the bartender was like, where are you? I go, where are my parents up there? They're 70 years old. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Mike touched on this next part, and this really is something that I hold dear. And I really think to myself, as great as they are, and as great as we want to be, it's impossible to measure up to them as parents, right? They were incredible. So Matthew 25, very short, it says, I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you and you welcomed me. Mike shared some stories. They did that unconditionally. There was a time in high school when I came home from school and I was sitting at the little bar having some cereal. I was starving. And I looked over and my mom and dad were both gone. And I saw this green thing leaning up against the counter. And I'm like, that's weird. It looks like it's like a polyester Publix uniform. It's just a leg. It looks really weird. Then I hear this hopping coming around the corner. And this lady hops around the corner and she doesn't look like she's in great shape. She's not doing well. I have no idea who she is. She hops to this green thing, she puts this fake leg on, this peg leg, screws it under her other leg, and she stands there, and she introduces herself. I think her name was Sandy. And I said, hello, I'm John. I'm Missy's son. She goes, I'm going to be staying with you for a while. And I was like, okay, great. And she was there for a few months. Clearly, a lady that was having some really hard times in life, and met my mom at Publix, where my mom worked. And instead of just moving along, my mom opened up our house to them and to her. We picked up Aunt Jane one time at the airport, or they picked me up. They picked me up at the airport in Fort Worth, and we were taking a picture because we had to take a picture because it's me, my Aunt Jane, my mom and dad. And my mom asked this young lady to take her picture, and she's taking the picture and she's crying. She takes our picture. My mom says, "Are you okay?" She goes, "No, my flight is canceled. I have no money. I'm totally stranded." So as you can imagine, to Mike's other story, she's in our car. We're driving to their house in Fort Worth. She has a bed. My dad gets up at the crack of dawn, like 5 a.m., and drives her to the airport and then drives to work. That's the kind of people that they were. They were amazing. And the things that they did, those are just a few examples. I could go on and on. They're incredible people. And I'm forever blessed to have them. The memories that we share, that we have, are infinite. So they gave us so many amazing memories that we can talk about them until we go on our way. When I pulled into the ship today, there's a statue of the sailor hugging his wife, and there's a child. I don't know if anybody saw that. It's a bronze statue, like right up front. And it's sort of indicative of the sailor goes and is deployed and comes home to the family. I envisioned that when my mom passed away, it was my dad who was here, my dad who was in heaven, and instead of, it was his eternal deployment, and my mom joined him, and they hugged, and they're together now. So for that, I'm grateful. Again, thank you all so much. The stories are awesome. We could go on and keep sharing. Thank you so much.